In this video, I'll give you the exact formula I used to come up with 8 different course ideas that each crossed $1 million in revenue. So if you've been wondering, is your idea for a course good? If you create the course, will anyone buy it? Will it just be a waste of time, or is it going to pay off? This formula is going to give you the answer. My name is John Morrow, and I've built 8 7-figure courses sitting in my wheelchair using nothing but my brain. And now I want to show you how to monetize your brain, turning your expertise into a source of passive income that gives you the freedom to do whatever you want. And it all starts with the idea for your course. If you screw this up, it's game over. The quality of your course won't matter because no one will see it. The size of your audience won't matter because if the idea is bad, they won't buy it, no matter how much they like you. And the worst part is, 99% of beginning course creators screw up what I'm about to tell you and end up wasting tons of time and money. They think there's no other course on this topic, therefore it must be a good idea. But let's think about that for a second. There are 0 courses on how to grow square tomatoes. For example, you could create one, you would be the only course on that topic, but that doesn't mean it would sell because no one cares about square tomatoes. And this shows that what matters isn't uniqueness. The perfect course idea has 2 criteria. Number 1, it's profitable. Ideally, it's going to make you several $100,000, possibly over $1 million over the lifetime of the course. Number 2, it has to be authentic to you as the creator, meaning you need to have credibility, you need to be comfortable, you need to be a guide that someone else would want. It's only by combining both of those together that you get to the perfect idea. Now, how do you get there? Well, the first variable is your personal accomplishments. In order to have credibility with your audience, you need to have accomplished something they admire. So let's say, for example, you're teaching a course on mountain climbing. You don't have to be the #1 mountain climber in the world, but you at least need to have climbed a mountain, okay? And ideally, it's a mountain that people aspire to climb, like Mount Everest, for example. It's that accomplishment that makes you a credible teacher, and your credibility is always where we have to start. The simplest way to wrap your mind around this is to write a statement in the following format. I accomplished X, therefore you can trust me to teach you how to Y. So, I climbed Mount Everest, therefore you can trust me to teach you mountain climbing. Or, I bought 20 rental properties, therefore you can trust me to teach you how to be a landlord. You can make a statement like this for any successful course because it works only when the teacher has genuine, authentic credibility that transfers to the goal of the student. So to complete the statement for yourself, start with one of your personal accomplishments and then consider what that might qualify you to teach. Now, there's one big problem with this. Most of us are completely blind to our own accomplishments. We've lived with them for so long we see them as normal. And the best solution to this is to have someone interview you about the different areas of your life and tease out what your accomplishments actually are, and to give you a third-party perspective on what you may be qualified to teach. If you're interested in having my team do that for you, click the link in the description below. For now, let's stick with the Mount Everest example. You've identified your personal accomplishment, but now the question is, what's the scope of the course? Should it be about how to climb Mount Everest, or should it be about basic climbing skills? You're qualified to teach both, but those are 2 very different courses. And this is where the next part of the formula comes in, transformation. You have to ask yourself, what transformation can you consistently deliver for students who take your course? Imagine you have a before and after photo. Before your course, maybe people are watching mountain climbers and thinking, oh man, that looks so cool. Is it reasonable to take that person and help them climb Mount Everest? Probably not, right? But maybe the after photo is them climbing their first mountain. Maybe that even becomes the name of the course, your first mountain. Personally, I like that idea, but there are also other options here. Maybe we have a high-end coaching program for people who have tried to climb Mount Everest and they didn't make it. So the before photo is them coming back to camp in shame. The after photo is them standing at the peak of Mount Everest. It's a much smaller audience, maybe too small, I don't know, but it's a transformation. Someone who's climbed Mount Everest could potentially deliver. It's worth considering if you believe it's realistically possible. This is the test that really makes a lot of beginning course creators uncomfortable, because it's a lot of responsibility to say, I'm only going to teach a course if I'm sure my students can get results. You hear that you can create a course and just deliver your expertise. You can teach what you know. You can give your students the information about how to succeed, but then it's their responsibility to get results with that information. So why am I insisting that you be responsible for the transformation? The answer is that this is the difference between a book and a course. Imagine a continuum with information on one side and transformation on the other. Pure information, even really great information, gets sold every day in bookstores for $20. That's how much information is worth. On the other side, you have guaranteed transformation. And depending on what that is, it could be worth anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. That's because ultimately, what people want is not your expertise. It's results. The easier you make their transformation, the more you take responsibility for their transformation, the more money they're willing to pay you. The key characteristic of courses that sell well and that really grow and have a huge impact on all of their students is they, number one, promise a transformation, and number two, they deliver that transformation. And the greater your success rate, the more money your course ultimately will make. Now, how do you choose between these transformations? To go back to the mountain climbing example, do you teach beginners how to climb their first mountain? Or let's assume you've also decided it's possible to teach people who have failed climbing Mount Everest how to do it. If both are possible, if you believe you can deliver results for both groups, how do you decide which one? The answer is the last part of the formula: market demand. You want to get an idea of how many people are willing to pay for each of those transformations, and you also want to know how much they're willing to pay. Together, those two data points will tell you the size of the opportunity for your course. And whichever transformation offers the biggest opportunity is the one you should probably do. But again, there's a problem. How do you know? To really know for sure, you'd have to pay a market research firm tons of money to do an analysis of the market. And that's just not feasible for most beginning course creators. The good news is there's a shortcut that costs absolutely nothing, and you can do it in less than an hour. Let's call it ghetto market research. Okay, here's what you do. First, look around to see how many other businesses are promising the same transformation. Let's say you're focused on helping beginners climb the first mountain. First, I would look for courses and coaching programs promising the same thing. But in many cases, you won't find any, or if you do, they're kind of amateurish. So the next step is to look at other types of companies. Are there any tours that promise to help people climb the first mountain? Also, are there any climbing equipment companies that sell kits for beginners to climb their first mountain? Even though they're different types of products, they're both promising the same transformation to go from a wannabe to being someone who's climbed the mountain. So that makes them relevant. If I Google mountain climbing tours, a bunch of options come up here, and that's a great sign. The first one looks like an aggregator. So let's scroll down here. Much Better Adventures is the name of the second company. And if I go to their website and I scroll down through their tours, I can start getting an idea of how much money people are willing to pay, because it says here the price for their tours. This is great. But here's the real trick. I can search for this company on LinkedIn, Much Better Adventures, and then I can click on people, and I go to current company and select Much Better Adventures, and this shows me all of their employees, and they have 57 employees. Now, to pay all of these people, they must be bringing in some pretty good revenue. Their business is bigger than mine, okay? So just from looking at this one company, this looks like a pretty lucrative space. If I were doing deep dive research for this, I would repeat this process for anything related to climbing Mount Everest and also for mountain climbing equipment. In total, I'd probably spend an hour, maybe 2 hours. But by the time you're done with this process, it gives you a pretty good idea if companies are making any money in this space promising the same transformation that you are. even if there are no other courses on your topic, if there are other types of companies promising this transformation, there's probably an opportunity for you to create a course. And seeing how big they are, how many employees they have, will give you an idea of just how big that opportunity is. Now, the big question is, how are you going to stand out amongst all of these companies promising the same transformation? Competition is a major fear for lots of beginning entrepreneurs. But listen for a second. The more companies there are in the space, the more market demand there is. And you would rather be in a crowded market with lots of demand than dominating a tiny market where there's no demand. All that competition means is you have to learn how to separate yourself from everyone else, and that's called marketing, okay? It's a normal part of the process. And the good news is, I made a whole video about how to do that with your course, and you can click here to watch it next.